newest hand to style the pop. 100 on my fist and 100 on my watch.
What is up, people? Hey, thanks for tuning back into VinnyVin's podcast, episode 2. Y'all that made it, some real ones. Before we jump into the podcast, I wanted to, take a second to make a quick announcement. So we're going to be rebranding the podcast and changing it from Brick by Brick podcast to Tap In with VinnyVin. So I like it. It sounds like my, personality. Tap In with VinnyVin podcast. I like that. So just wanted to make that a quick announcement. And then, I was watching the first episode and I was kind of looking at things, analyzing, where I can improve or what I can do to make it better. And I feel like one place where I can definitely, talk about or at least share some insight, give you guys a roadmap is kind of what to expect on the podcast, right? Because I feel like I didn't do the best job kind of giving you that expectation on what to expect on my podcast. I just was letting random thoughts fly. So I would probably just start off by saying, I'm right now just having fun with it. And I'm probably going to have guests on here, like friends, family, people I work with, maybe people who I meet throughout my journey of life. And, just anybody who's really willing to jump on a podcast and share some interesting stories, whether that's someone who's, freaking killing it at their career, or it could be somebody who's a freaking Walmart, guest or a host or whatever, a freaking Applebee's freaking bartender. I don't know yet, but, I just thought I'd share that. We'll see what kind of topics we touch on with people who, come over. So yeah, I just thought I'd, take a quick second to share that. So, with that being said, it's episode 2. First and foremost, I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year's, especially the people I didn't get the chance to, send a text to or give a call or text back, So Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Hopefully you and your family, everybody's, healthy and you guys had a great time, This Christmas in particular was kind of, it just went by fast for me. It was really stressful, because I was so caught up in work, buying everything last minute and, participating in freaking things that, was new to me or whatever, especially in my career. So, it was cool though. I spent time with like my mom, my brother. My brother brought my nephews over, which was cool. They're at a fun little age right now, right? So there's one that's 9 and the other one's 8, They're right after each other, It's like the 8-year-old forgot to freaking turn off the stove, so he had to go back in, turn off the oven or whatever. But he was right there, 8 and 9. And they're cool, they're really bought into the Christmas stuff, They like seeing the decorations, They like seeing the lights, They like the ornaments on the freaking trees or whatever. So, that was fun, And I'm looking at them really enjoy like the gifts and all that stuff. And it got me thinking about, young Vince. It got me thinking about, my Christmases in the past, And I'm like, dang, like a lot of my core memories actually, came from Christmas, especially as a youngster. Like when I was that age, I'm thinking about myself now, like I'll be freaking walking through the house, waking up in the middle of the night or whatever, making some type of, little trap to see if I can find freaking Santa or whatever. I'd freaking wake up, hoping I bump into him. Who's that in the hallway? Oh, that's just my Uncle Peeper, tweaking on meth or whatever. I'd freaking, walk to the freaking tree, see if he took any of those freshly baked freaking fortune cookies I put out, or animal crackers, or freaking graham crackers, whatever I had at the time. See if he freaking took one. Nothing. Check under the freaking plate or whatever. Is that an Xbox, 360 video game? It's an eviction notice. Okay, put that back down then or whatever. So, I was doing little things like that, and I'm like, man, I'll be walking around the house freaking barefoot or whatever. And I'm like, I never understood why you couldn't find, Santa, You could never find them on Christmas Eve. But you go to a freaking local freaking mall or whatever. You go to freaking Inland Center, San Bernardino Mall right here, and you'll freaking see a freaking mall Santa or whatever, you know. You'll freaking see these people playing freaking mall Santas, you know, middle of October. And, you know, they find anybody to be these Santas, you know, which is crazy. It's like you'll take a look at them and you can tell they're just freaking grimy people, you know. They look freaking all gritty, all freaking like upset, you know, like they just freaking lost a parlay or whatever, a sports parlay. You know, they're freaking hoping Jokic would get freaking 15 assists or whatever. They're betting on the higher, you know. See if freaking Şengün scored 30 points or whatever, you know. Look like they lost his freaking parlays, you know. And it looks like, you know, these are the type of people who freaking peel their scabs early or whatever, you know. Freaking mall Santas, looking like he's still drunk off a fifth of vodka, you know, upset that, you know, he got these freaking little kids having to freaking, you know, ask him for shit, you know. He's asking them for Advil or whatever, help him with his freaking hangover or something, you know. So, yeah, you know. And I understand why Santa Claus, like the real Santa Claus, probably was never around. You know, he's probably always distracted, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, he was always around the red noses or whatever, you know. He had a couple red noses with him all the time, you know, that freaking caramel frappuccino freaking color or whatever. They got that freaking McDonald's hash brown skin tone, you know what I mean? They got that freaking that leg meat hanging off of them or whatever, you know. That's like having a freaking house that has a front porch and a backyard, you know. They got both of it, you know. Front porch, go smoke a cigarette outside, you know. Backyard, you go throw a freaking ball to your dog or whatever, you know. So that makes sense why he might miss a house or two on Christmas. So, because I'm thinking about it, man. You put me around a couple of red bones, you know what I'm saying? I might miss the whole day, bro. I might miss the whole week, you know. You might not see me I might go MIA, you know. Last thing I'm thinking about is work, you know. The only thing I'm trying to work is that booty, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, I understand. It's acceptable for Santa to miss, you know. But, you know, I was thinking about some of the things that I got for Christmas as a kid, you know. One of my favorite things was my mom, she got me the freaking the Wii Sport, or the Wii, but it came with Wii Sports, you know. Came with all types of freaking sports on there, you know. Freaking people bowling, you know. Freaking bowling, ripping out their freaking rotator cuff out their freaking shoulder, whatever. You know, you have freaking baseball out there, you know, people freaking booming shit out the park, you know. We freaking boxing, you know. You see freaking two rivals who haven't seen eye to eye since birth, you know, squash a beef after one round of Wii boxing or whatever. Or you'll see one person, they'll come out so serious, you know, they'll come out with the freaking headband and the freaking arm sleeve, you know, just to knock the TV off the freaking wall or whatever. You know, Wii Sports, man. Great times, you know. Let's take a look at, actually, you know, I want to take a look at some of these Wii characters, because I remember some of them looking kind of funny, you know, not looking real or whatever. Like, look at this guy right here. This guy, his name's Matt, you know. That ain't freaking Matt, that's freaking LaMilton. Freaking LaMilton asking you for a cigarette while you on your 15 or whatever. You know, look at this guy. This guy's a freaking a digital boomhauer right there. Or look at this guy right here. This guy's looks like his name's freaking Eduardo. You know what I mean? Looks like he's an assistant general manager at a freaking Ralph's grocery store or whatever. You know? Oh, look at this right here. Freaking mall Santas. Look at that guy. I mean, just look at him, bro. He looks insane. You tell me that guy don't look insane? You know, he's off of freaking Percocet right there, you know. You know, we boxing. Here we go. We boxing. These freaking people are fighting with no freaking arms, bro. Are you serious? No freaking shoulders, bro. They're fighting all torso, bro. All freaking torso. You know what I mean? That's some shit you'd probably see in the middle of freaking Skid Row or whatever. You know, people fighting with no freaking arms, you know. They probably freaking traded in their freaking prosthetic, their prosthetic freaking arm for a freaking imaginary time machine or whatever. They're fighting over who gets the next round or something. I don't know. Yeah, but that was fun. I got to participate in something called a white elephant, bro. That was a first for me this year. White elephant, you know what I mean? You ever freaking participate in white elephant, cuh? You know what I mean? You ever freaking participate in freaking taking somebody's gift on freaking white elephant day, bro? Come on, homie. Like that stuff it's pretty tough, And prior to this year, I never participated because I was working at a freaking warehouse for a couple years, or working at a freaking retail store, or I didn't have an office like that, and working like at a retail or whatever, those people are stingy with giving out gifts, they'll do everything but give you a raise or a day off, The type of gifts they'll give you is an extra 15-minute break and a Nature Valley granola bar. That's your gift for Christmas. Thank you for your service. Go enjoy your freaking granola bar. One of those things. Yeah, man. So I didn't know the rules or anything. I was like, I don't even know how to play this game. Like, what are the rules? What's the guidelines? They're like, oh, okay. Well, all you got to do is go buy something that's what they say, neutral, right? It's for anybody, which is actually really hard to do, because you're like, well, what the frick do I buy, So I go shopping, I'm looking around, I'm looking at things that is neutral, I'm freaking looking at bathroom hand soap, for your hands or whatever. Moisturizer for your freaking hands after you freaking use the restroom. Extra value pack of freaking gum or whatever, the one that come in like the plastic container, comes with 36 strips of gum or whatever. So I was looking at things like that. Freaking hair clippers, because, everybody got some type of hair, unless you're that Mr. Clean guy, no hair. He got that disease where he can't grow hair or whatever. Yeah, so it was cool. It was fun though. I got to experience it and, let's take a look at some of these white elephants, Elephant gift, right? Boom. Look at this right here. You know what I'm saying? People freaking standing around. And that's kind of what we were doing, people giving out gifts, sharing each other's thoughts and, appreciating each other, And that's kind of what we were doing. It was kind of weird, though. It was kind of creepy a little bit, because, we're all standing in a freaking circle, around a freaking Christmas tree, and we're all dressed up in freaking suits or whatever, So it almost felt like we were doing something secret, Like we were freaking trading some inside stock market trades or whatever, insider freaking trades, And it looked like we were, circled around this Christmas tree. It looked like we were trying to summon, the ghost of Christmas past or something. But other than that, that was fun, But I don't know. That was cool. And, I got this freaking candle right here. God damn, homie, this that freaking... Look at this big ass candle, bro. Oh, take a hit of that. Take a sniff of that, bro. Take a freaking sniff of that. Oh, bro. It's like 15-pounder right here. You know what I mean? What's that say? That says New Zealand ocean breeze or whatever, Let me take a sniff of that one more time. Hold on. Let me get that breeze. Yeah, that smells like Lithuanian earwax or whatever. You know what I mean? That smells like vanilla chai tea latte Shrek Swamp Water edition. That's why it's in that green freaking glass right there. And I'm like, all right, that's cool, one of those candles that last forever, you know. It looks like I don't gotta freaking clean my house for like a year or whatever. It's gonna smell good in here regardless. So, you know, that was fun, you know, got to participate in that. And yeah, look at these people all freaking happy or whatever. You know, being around each other, enjoying each other's company. Look at this. Look at this right here. Come on, man. Put on your shirt, bro. What you doing? Yeah, man. So, like, one thing I do want to point out, though, and just kind of have some awareness of is, like, not everybody really, I know we associate Christmas with having fun, right? And loving on each other and everyone's jolly or whatever. You know, it's important to remember not everybody, you know, feels the same way, which is someone told me that. I was like, I never thought about it like that. Like, yeah, you know, they may have not had the best experience during Christmas, or maybe something traumatic happened during Christmas, you know. Maybe, you know, Santa didn't make it to their neighborhood or whatever. So I'm like, that's true, you know, never thought about that. And, you know, I was talking to my friend, and he was an orphan growing up, right? So he was the one who was kind of breaking it down to me like that, you know, kind of ruining my mood, but kind of making me aware, though, at the same time, you know? And I was like, okay. So he was telling me he used to be an orphan, you know? Like, he wasn't alone. He had like 12 other, you know, kids who were also orphanage. And they lived in this freaking house, you know, and they had freaking caregivers or whatever. You know, they weren't their parents, but they cared for them, or, you know, they give out some, you know, like a little bit of care, you know, every once in a while. So he told me they'd get things and, you know, they would all have to share it, you know. So, like, it wasn't their responsibility to always get gifts for the kids because there was just so many of them, you know. So, you know, when they would get a gift or anything, really, they would have to freaking rationalize and freaking salvage or whatever, you know. They freaking go pull up to a freaking a McDonald's drive-through, you know. Each kid gets one fry and an apple slice, you know, with a shot of chocolate milk. Pass the bag, you know, or whatever. So, but one year, apparently all the orphans, they were excited. They were excited about this year because, you know, they got word that, you know, they were getting a laptop or whatever at the freaking orphanage, you know. That's pretty exciting stuff that's going down, you know, because the year prior to that, you know, all they got was a freaking a T-shirt that was screen printed of somebody using a laptop or whatever, you know. So they're pretty excited. It's actually coming to the orphanage, you know, and you know, they finally they start thinking about things like, oh, you know, I'm a freaking this could change my life. You know, I can start building something with this. You know, I can freaking build an online website, freaking sell freaking lanyards. You know, and in the process of doing that, you know, look up my real parents on freaking LinkedIn, see if they're connected or whatever. You know, so they finally get the freaking laptop there, right? And they all agree on like, all right, everyone gets, you know, 1 week with the laptop, you know. And my friend, he freaking he was the last one, so like he had to wait an extra 11 weeks before it got to him, you know. But he, you know, he ends up getting the laptop, you know, freaking buttons are freaking missing or whatever. Freaking ketchup stains all over the screen or whatever, you know. And you know, he would try to search something on freaking Google, you know. He freaking, you know, search something on Google's full of freaking viruses, you know. Clean history, like the history was wiped, right? But he had all types of viruses, you know. Freaking letdown. That'd be like waiting to have, you know, intercourse with your freaking partner until marriage, you know. And then you finally get married to her and you find out she got a dick on her or whatever. You know, freaking letdown or something. So yeah, man, just this is next year, you know, for myself. I'm talking for myself. Let's just appreciate, you know, others and, you know, extend that extra Christmas card, you know. Yeah. What else? It's 2026 now, right? We're in the new year. people, are getting after it already, People freaking waking up at midnight on the 1st, I haven't been to sleep since, just getting after it, closing deals in the middle of the freaking day or whatever, just getting after it. And, I would encourage anybody really to, if you don't have one already, to make some type of like goals that you want to accomplish this year, make you like a business plan for the new year or whatever, for your life, on how you're going to, get those goals in place or whatever. So, having some goals is like having a freaking, a shopping list when you go to the grocery store, and you make sure you're not in the freaking ice cream section for too long or whatever, have a business plan, it's like a freaking compass or like a freaking treasure map on to success, for that year and for your life, have a SWOT analysis on there, So what are some things you did good this year? Let's continue to build on that, What are some of your weaknesses that you want to improve on or whatever, That's cool too, Because I feel like I accomplished a lot of good things in 2025, Started doing great things. And then I'm like, it don't make sense though. Where's all my money? Where did my money go, So I started looking at my freaking business plan, looking at some of my weaknesses. And I'm like, okay. So my money was going, a lot of my weakness was strip clubs and in and out in the middle of the night, I was getting freaking a different type of spread, you know what I mean? I was getting freaking butt cheeks and animal style fries for fucking dinner, So, I would probably need to improve on that, And I don't know, when it comes to goals, though, you can't have anything on your goals list, There's nothing off the table. You could have freaking anything, Yeah, I mean, one of my goals is I'm going to talk to freaking one different woman every day, and by the end of the year, have freaking 3 girlfriends or whatever, That's freaking 365 women. You telling me I can't get 3 of those, bro? Fuck out of here, bro. So, yeah, man, I don't know if it's going to be 3 girlfriends throughout the year or if it's like 3 girlfriends at the same time or whatever, but I don't know. That's just one of the goals, like, nothing's off the table is what I mean, it could be whatever. Yeah, bro. You telling me I can't get 3? Fuck out of here, you know what I mean? So, yeah, man. And I just feel like New Year's went by kind of fast this year, I mean, it was freaking raining where I'm at, so like I didn't do much, I was just kind of inside. I thought everybody was going to do the same, I thought everybody's going to stay inside. So I was like, well, I'm going to just freaking throw on Amazon Prime Video or freaking Netflix or fucking Temu or whatever that bootleg TV show's called. So I'm like, yeah, I'm going to just stay in, and I'm freaking watching movies or whatever. I go on my phone on Instagram, people are out. I'm like, what? People are out? I'm like, nah, I gotta get ready too. I can't just stay in, So I get ready to go out or whatever. And I'm freaking like noticing, like, it don't matter what obstacle or what weather or what type of climate is going around, People will be out partying, people will find their way to their parties, I saw this one couple, they freaking team paddled a canoe to the club, freaking tied a rope to the valet so it wouldn't float away or whatever, I saw this one freaking girl, she freaking grew some gills right here and fucking swam to the club, left her freaking floaties with the freaking bouncer or whatever. So, that was kind of crazy. Yeah, bro, if your girl's going out and freaking New Year's, she just out there looking to put her freaking lips on somebody, you know what I mean? Freaking stranger just kind of walking around looking for someone to kiss or whatever, as the freaking ball drops, you know what I mean? Freaking ball drops and freaking panty drop at the same time or whatever. So just be aware of that, Yeah, man, and that's kind of all I did. I didn't really do much, you know what I mean? But I don't know what else to talk about. I wanted to say, hey, thanks for tuning in to episode 2. I mean, from here on out, I'm planning to drop something on every Monday. So, you know, you can catch me in action on Mondays or whatever. But yeah, man. Thanks. Tap in with VinnyVin podcast, episode 2. Deuce.
Let's just dance in slow-mo till we can't dance no